So you have a put methods, like we have a 101 records, so it's put methods, the body is there. So let's see, it has 999 entries or something like that, different, maybe just like so checking the is in the 999 and so on and so forth. And then put the user is 11 entries, so they are send. Put is working expectedly, what we 999, even though in the database level it is working what we expected. So the 999, so 999 what we expected. Then let's have a create the some roles from the user registry from the specific user. So we have a role, and then the delete methods working. What is create the some roles, because there is no roles. If I put it here, there is no roles. The content is empty at the moment. Status okay. So let's put some roles for the specific user. So we can go to this here. So we can have 211 roles, maybe 11 here, 111. We already find the URL. This is API. So user roles, create user, number of the user role and role objects. So send. So, what's no is sorry. Let's you see the exception is not found. The status the user registration role 22111 is not found. It's true. That's perfect. No problems. So now it's need to be found. So it's created 301 300 101 as for our definitions. You can put it here, same thing like that. So it's 300 for 104 105, and after that if I look for the database, and then it is 105. So we see the relationship between the user registration ID and the primary key and the foreign key relationships between that one. So we have a 103 4 5. It belongs to the user 211. So even though I can check it like other user entries, maybe it's also works, should works. So it's 12 is there. So let's click. So let's have a check. All functionalities there. So it's all basic CRUD operation. Maybe you need a complex functions. You see that's all of working properly. That's we expected. So then what we did. Let's recap. We can go there. So that means what we did, so all the proper loggings is there. So we already set it is the logging informations. It's which query we are and how it is working. So all information is there. So that means you understand how implements the microservice structures. Then in the pipelines, in the presentation that I said. So we put it our sorry. So we see that we planned our implementing the microservices. We code it. We put it our source code at the moment. It's a local host, local Git, and then this is our building tools, Maven. That's we use it, and then some testing tools that we are using at the moment for the Postman. So you can unit test it. That's I already show you. And at the moment we are not using the Bamboo integration tools for the Jenkins or Bamboo. We are simply deploy the application as a standalone jar files, and later screencast. I will discuss how can we integrate those integrate the Docker and Docker Compose or Docker and the Kubernetes to deploy the same application, and also how can you integrate those microservices to monitor with the actuator, micrometer, and Grafana and Prometheus. That's the idea to implement the features. So that means in the implementation, we take the implementation. Simply we take the same implementations, and we will integrate the next screen. We integrate our version control systems, the database migration or like a version control system as a Flyway, Liquibase. I already started. How can you do? and how can you prepare it. I will show you later, because we did the implementation. Show you later how can you integrate, how can make such a tables creations, the script, and then how can you call this in the generation, the exactly same script what we did in manually, and it's Flyway will do this implementation. Just simply define the DB migrations and then define your script, and Flyway will automatically create your database schema and sequences and so on and so forth. Maybe you have a 15 database version, doesn't matter, the Flyway will handle it step by step. So we have a additional table, you need to be create additional script and create the tables and so on. So we need to delete one columns, you can do it. You need additional columns for the existing tables, you can do also that one. So this is, I said, this is how you start, how there's a professional's life you can start. So you need to be as a DevOps culture, as continuous integration and continuous deployment. That's, you now understand what I mean. How can you think about, you need to be think about and need to be really clearly understand how the professional life works. So that means we got the plannings, the requirement from the end clients, we code it. Coding means you properly design your projects, you properly module your packages and define your implementation. So you have it as a REST API implementation, you have it defined all the models that you need, your domain models, and then you need to be define your repositories based on the domain models, and after the repository definition you need to be define your interfaces and then implement the interfaces that you need, and after that finally you need just very simple controller definitions. Control definition, what's the controller you need, and define the, discuss with your management, your boss, to how can you define the your base URL, your endpoint, REST API endpoint URLs, you can define it. Maybe your company has a really specific definition how can define it, but I said here this is one of the example for professional way to handle those cases. After the implementation done, you can simply increase the version. That's why they say continuous integration DevOps is really effective and really flexible and really resourceless implementations. So we can quickly fix your bugs, you implement your features and functionalities. Just let's continuously build and deploy and put and commit your source code in the big bucket, and then you can build out of this your implementation, build the new versions and deploy the versions into the respective container, into respective environments, development, production, release, or doesn't matter. And how your deployments, maybe the standalone jar-based deployment, depending, or Docker Compose based deployment, or Docker-Kubernetes based deployment. There is 3 approaches there. So that's what this is one of the approach I already discussed with you, and then later screencast I will discuss with you how they integrate the, how will you integrate the Flyway, and how you will deploy the applications with the Docker Compose, and also how can you deploy the application. I already prepare a Docker Kubernetes. I already prepared all files there is there, and Docker files is there. Just I simply need to be defined here. So you see there is definition, clear definition. I already have it here. So you have it just in a jar-based deployment. There's a files that we will discuss, and then we have a Kubernetes deployment. I prepare this very simple, the Docker files, and the very simple Docker files is there, and Docker files and Docker Compose files and so on and so forth. That's exactly what I need. And then also I define the Kubernetes files, the Docker and Kubernetes deployment. So it's a lot of files there, the simply Docker file. That's what we exactly have with the same versions of that one, and and there is config credential and so on and so forth. Exactly what we expect, what we published, and then so on and so forth. That's the professional way. Even you can, if you don't like to build the environment, you can go like that way. So you can simply run the Java jar and put it your all the parameters or input parameters and so on and so forth. It works. What you expected, just put it. If you don't like it to build like professional way, the structure way, you can also build run the commands like Java jar and put it your jar version number, which version you are, the simply 3, and then you set it like just simply run this one, and it's working. That's the installation department, they need to be changed exactly the same files to what's environment, database version, and then database user and password, and then host name and IP address. It works. It's exactly what we expected. and that's the reason it's profitable.